Hello everyone and welcome to another movie review. Today we're taking a look at Suicide Squad. Another quite controversial DC Comics film has arrived with a lot of mixed opinions. Some really liked it, some really hated it. Critics were certainly not a fan of it, but how does it really work out for me? What are my thoughts on it? And I think this is going to be one of those films that I have a lot of divided opinions myself too. But let's talk more about it now. So Suicide Squad is a way for them to introduce the villains of the DC universe, specifically more of Batman, although you also have Boomerang, who's part of the Flash villains. But the idea of the film is to focus on introducing all these characters and show you a little bit more of the lore of Batman and get to know these characters and how they become a hero. Unfortunately, the movie is not exactly a well-made film to introduce these characters, as the movie focuses mostly on 2 or 3 characters in terms of developing them, while other characters are completely ignored and get zero development, zero flashbacks to get more info on them that makes them fall short in the long run. Regardless, the movie does a pretty good job in introducing Harley Quinn. For example, she does get a lot of scenes with the Joker as well, because the Joker is essential to her storyline. He's the reason she becomes that, and it shows a little bit of the psychology of the Joker, how it gets into her. But here's the thing about this film. A lot of people were talking about the Joker, Jared Leto's Joker. How is this gonna work? How is this gonna be great? Is it gonna be amazing? And the thing is that people need to realize, and those that complain that there's barely any Joker on the film, is that this film is not about the Joker. This film is about Harley Quinn and these other villains. But the Joker doesn't do anything related to the plot and story and does not need any development at all in this film. The Joker is there to merely give support to Harley Quinn's story and develop her. Now, is it a good idea to introduce a new kind of Joker that we haven't seen before, has a supporting role instead of being introduced first? Not exactly a good idea, I would say. And that's essentially the whole problem with this DC Comics universe, where they're trying to tell you these stories and introduce you these characters with stories that already happened. There's a lot of stories and things that already happened to these characters that we haven't gotten to see, and we're still unsure if we will get to see any of it. You're like, okay, Joker's now like a gangster sort of thing. It's not exactly been more clownish, although he's still clownish. But you're like, okay, what? And apparently Joker lost his teeth or something. But why? Apparently the tattoos on him actually have a reason and meaning. Okay, but what? And it's a lot of questions. And again, this movie is not supposed to tell those things. I'm totally fine with that. I don't think this movie needs to tell me any of that. However, the movie is still affected by the fact that we don't know anything about that. We don't understand the psychology of the Joker, the psychology that makes Harley Quinn become Harley Quinn. If we had known the Joker beforehand, then we know the Joker, how he is, how he became who he is, and that's become part of the psychology that Harley Quinn is going to adapt in her life. She wants to be like him because she falls in love with him. But we don't really understand him right now. We don't have any info on him. If we had seen him previously, then yeah, we would have understand the whole psychology better. Regardless about that, I still think that the Harley Quinn development was pretty good. It was pretty faithful comic book wise. I thought it was pretty faithful overall into the character as a whole, and I think they really nailed the character super well. I think Margot Robbie did really great with the character. She's not exactly the most deep character of all, but she's the fun character from the whole group. She's always throwing a lot of funny lines and such, and you know what? I really enjoyed them. I know some people said that they were cheesy or forced. I didn't feel it like that. I really enjoyed her character a lot because it was the first time in this universe of DC Comics movies that we actually see a character that's enjoying being on the film. we see an actor or actress that's really enjoying what she's doing. She's really having a blast with this character. She's actually having fun, and she's like, all this craziness and darkness and greediness is happening, but she's having fun in the long run. I liked a lot that energy. It's the energy that this whole world needs, and it's something that they really need to bring a hero that can bring that essence into the Justice League as well. The second most developed character on the film is Deadshot, played by Will Smith, which I was actually quite surprised how much I liked him. Will Smith played a lot being, well, Will Smith, family character, but then has this bad reputation and bad habits. In this case, he's, well, an assassin. But it's interesting at the same time because it's been a while that we don't see Will Smith doing this type of roles. So I was genuinely pretty happy with how he played out this role. It was nice to finally see Will Smith being Will Smith. Something, he was very comfortable in the role. He also was having fun with the role. Like, he's really enjoying this character. He's enjoying being this universe of comic books, and you see it on him, and you see it on Margot Robbie too. Like I said previously, you can see between these two actors that they know each other, I think, because of another film. But you can see when these two characters interact a couple of times in the film, you can see that they're having fun. They're really engaged with this. They're really entertained about it. Like, they don't look bored, they don't look confused as to what they're acting. They're really having fun because this movie is supposed to be the more fun movie. And that's what you see with these characters. Another major character, and probably one of the most important ones, is Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, which Viola, she's amazing and she nails every single role, and Amanda Waller's role is definitely something that she nails as well. There was some issues I had with the writing of the character, but I think she did a tremendous job with the character. And she was actually, I noticed too on her that she was really enjoying this badass woman that's in charge of all these crazy villains and all that. Despite that she's a pretty serious character, you feel the engagement that that she studied well this character. Again, it's really connecting with the character that these actors can do. Now let's talk about the other characters that were not so great. We have Killer Croc. Killer Croc was not a bad character. I think he was pretty good for what it was. But considering that Killer Croc for me is something of a bigger menace, like a bigger size and more creepier and more intense, I didn't feel this was Killer Croc to me. I feel like he played more like the Fantastic Four's The Thing. Like, well, yeah, I got all this body and strength, but it wasn't intimidating. It didn't speak to me villain. I just felt I was looking at The Thing from Fantastic Four. But it's not that, I don't think obviously it's not the actor's fault. I mean, he played what he had. But considering the budget of these films, I think they could have done something much more. I think they could have made him bigger. He just feels like a very small character, just not intimidating when he's supposed to be. We also have Captain Boomerang, played by Jay Kirby, which was okay. I mean, the problem with his character is that he's also meant to be for humor purposes. And well, sometimes he does some funny moments, but sometimes it just doesn't click. And I think it's also the problem with that I have with him is that he just doesn't fit this group. Like, all these characters, they have a dark past and they're badass, they have all this fighting stuff. Captain Boomerang, he just throws boomerangs, and I don't know, what more can I say? And there's never really a moment in the film that I say, yes, we needed him there. No, I think like he was just there because, I don't know, they just wanted to put a Flash villain in there. We also have Katana, which it's a shame that she doesn't get to do much. She doesn't get much background. Much of her background story is just told by conversations rather than scenes of flashbacks and all. But with what she had to do, I think she still stood out like a pretty good character, and she was definitely my third favorite. My favorite ones was Harley Quinn, Deadshot, and Dancer, and well, Amanda Waller too, but there's also the character of El Diablo, which was an interesting character. I thought that it was great that they were trying to make this villain that he's pretty not wanting to be villain anymore. He regrets everything. I thought it was great to have this character that, you know, he didn't really want it to be a villain in the first place too much anymore. Whereas the other characters, well, they're pretty more convinced of what they're doing. This one he's pretty secure that he doesn't want to do this, but he has no options. And they make him a tragic story and all that to him as well, which was nice. But I feel like with more effort, with more time for him, more organized script, they could have really made his whole arc so emotional. Like, I think it was a very big missed opportunity of making something that would have been so emotional. And you know, it's a shame in that sense. So then we have, what's your name, dude? Oh, his name, the leader of the military that leads the Suicide Squad, I guess, is Rick Flag. Rick Flag is not a bad character. I think the actor did pretty good, all things considered. I don't want to go into too much details on him because it would be too much spoiler territory, but I think he did okay overall. I like his working with the other characters. I like that he was the big man military that these characters just simply hate and detest, and then you ultimately they have to protect him sometimes and all that. I like the playing, especially between him and Deadshot and Rick Flag. I thought those two combined was pretty good. I thought it was fun to have those characters in there. But Rick Flag has a whole, his life and all that, I think he deserved better. I think his character could have been much more impactful and much more emotional. And again, another missed opportunity for a very big emotional arc throughout the very end of the film. In terms of the plot of the film, I think the movie starts off really well. Like, the characters are introduced, they have some nice highlights, intros, and all that, and I thought that was pretty cool. Like, hey, this movie is really going somewhere. But then, all of a sudden, the movie stops bringing in these characters and suddenly goes to a villain plot. Like, ooh, wait, we need a villain. We need something to happen for these characters to be used as a Suicide Squad. So they suddenly create this plot based on something else, and then alien stuff happening, and there's a rip hole again, and you know, you're like, oh. I think that they did not have to go with this villain plot at all, with aliens and wormholes and all that, because it makes no sense that the Justice League characters are somewhere out there just hanging around and never notice a big wormhole and they do nothing about it. Instead, we got the Suicide Squad to protect us. I'm like, huh? That makes no sense to me. Like, the Suicide Squad is the one sent to kill these aliens. And you know, the Suicide Squad, I think it should have been something of villains versus villains. Like, maybe them confronting the Joker or confronting another big major crime dealer, or it could have been someone with powers or something, but someone that was very grounded, like not this whole alien stuff, like, ooh, there's a wormhole and all that, and super magical stuff. I was like, what? And isn't this the same? Is this really the same universe that was trying to be so grounded, and all of a sudden it's popping all this magic CGI stuff going on? So, you know, it was confusing in that sense. There was a big confusion in direction as a whole. And, you know, it was a real shame that in the end, this pretty cool squad just ended up battling some weird alien stuff. But even with all this critique, I won't deny that it had fun watching the film. I had a lot of fun with Harley Quinn and Deadshot characters, and a few other moments with each character. I had fun overall, but I will confess that I pretty much loved every single scene of Harley Quinn. I was interested what more would happen with these characters, and you know, I was curious with these characters, and I'm pretty excited to see these characters again played by the same actors and actresses on the Batman films. So as a whole, overall, I think Suicide Squad is a pretty decent film, but it's hard a little bit to rate. Personally, I think if you know these characters beforehand, if you have seen them enough, maybe, I don't want to say comic books specifically, obviously, but if you have played with them on, say, Batman Arkham games, or have watched also Arrow and all that, I had overall a lot of fun with these characters, but because I knew beforehand a lot about them. If you're a completely new audience that doesn't know any history about these characters and how they were created and how they came to be, it's gonna be a little hard for that type of audience. For a new audience, I find it that it's a really hard thing to watch because there really isn't enough info or enough stuff to really enjoy these characters in the whole film. So I would have to say, as a fan, my fan score would be 7.5 out of 10. But for the new audience, I will have to be honest and say that it would be a 6.5 out of 10. Anyway, thank you for watching this movie review. Be sure to check out my other superhero film reviews, including Captain America Civil War, X-Men Apocalypse, and Batman vs Superman.